A series of intersecting bars cutting the headline, "Under the Mount of Saturn," suggests the subject is susceptible to constant mental stress, persistent frustrations, and a lack of mental clarity, leading to poor concentration depending on the depth, sharpness, and length of these cuts. Why does this occur? This particular segment of the headline falls under the influence of Saturn. When Saturn is negatively afflicted in a person's life, it can manifest in a variety of troubling ways. Traditionally, Saturn in a disturbed state is linked with depression, chronic sadness, accidents, issues related to the legs and bones, dental problems, and even severe neurological conditions such as paralysis. I have commonly observed this sign on the hands of people who experience migraines or chronic tension during the most demanding or transitional phases of their lives, which affects their productivity. When the headline appears fractured, marked by negative signs such as islands, crosses, bar-like interruptions, or inconsistent thickness and curves all the way toward the Mount of the Moon, it points towards heightened sensitivity, negativity, restlessness, and moodiness. He or she struggles with periods of confusion, delusion, or detachment from reality, often driven by an overactive imagination bestowed by the Mount of the Moon. There will be signs of lethargy and excessive daydreaming, with no actions to achieve the goals. In addition, if there is a presence of a Saturn ring, a semicircular arc around the prominent Mount of Saturn, as shown, suggests a tendency toward depression, isolation, and a sense of psychological heaviness. The person will be unnecessarily burdened with intense life challenges that will affect their mental well-being. Saturn's finger governs discipline, structure, inner stability, and hard work. However, when the Saturn ring is present, it blocks the energy that enters through the Saturn finger, creating an imbalance and an inability to process or channel life's responsibilities and pressures effectively. If the headline breaks under the Saturn mount and is accompanied by a cross formation on it, it denotes that the person will go through periods of intense depression, overwhelming sadness, and a sense of inner darkness. Cross on the Mount of Saturn brings out all the negative aspects in the person's life. The individual might appear withdrawn, melancholic, and will struggle to find joy as he or she will be suffering through a persistent feeling of hopelessness. In these cases, it is highly advisable to seek the support of a qualified therapist or mental health professional. Timely guidance and emotional support can make a significant difference in helping the individual manage and eventually overcome the psychological challenges and mental blockages indicated by this combination. A clear and distinct island formed under the Mount of Saturn reflects a mind clouded by confusion, disappointments, insecurity, hearing problems may arise, and a lack of direction during that phase of life. This island acts as a void, blocking the main current in the headline, interrupting the natural flow of thought and clarity. The subject will suffer from flawed decision-making, can't concentrate for a long time, and repeated failures. The intensity of mental troubles depends on the size of an island. A larger island suggests a more prolonged period of psychological struggle, whereas a smaller one indicates a passing phase of discouragement. Regardless of the size, this marking should be taken seriously. Lines from the headline towards the lower Mount of Mars denote suppressed anger, constant inner conflict, mental instability, and an underlying sense of hopelessness. The individual is caught in cycles of negative thinking patterns that are difficult to break, gets irritated over small issues, and temper flares up quickly. The headline represents the mind, and when it connects negatively with this zone, it shows that he or she is getting whimsical, battling internal rage, self-talking when alone, and extremely volatile. Moreover, if red dots appear on the headline along with the aforementioned formation, it suggests a predisposition to neurological complications affecting cognitive function and perception, such as schizophrenia. If a star gets formed on the Mount of Saturn, there is a presence of a whirl pattern on the Mount of the Moon, Saturn finger is noticeably tall, and top section of the Saturn finger is bent toward the Apollo finger with many horizontal lines on it is a clear sign of chronic depression and a significant imbalance in the body's serotonin levels, which are crucial for emotional regulation and mood stability. Such a combination strongly suggests a person who is secretly burdened, emotionally withdrawn, and mentally fragile. The tall Saturn finger reflects a serious, often overly introspective nature, and when its top phalange bends toward the Apollo finger, it denotes conflict between discipline and expression or joy. The horizontal lines further amplify mental strain and emotional suppression. This individual is likely to isolate themselves from social settings, preferring solitude over companionship. They may reject the company of friends, avoid crowds, and withdraw from meaningful interactions. Over time, these tendencies can lead to chronic stress, anxiety disorders, or even more severe mental health conditions if left unaddressed. The chain formation weakens the headline's strength and disrupts the smooth flow of thoughts, affecting the mental health of the subject, and the grill formation brings bad luck, repeated financial losses, and an unpredictable life path filled with constant ups and downs. Over time, the person starts feeling dejected, directionless, pessimistic, and emotionally drained. If you observe closely, these troubling signs frequently involve two key areas of the palm, the mount of Saturn and the mount of the Moon. Both of these mounts are deeply connected to the emotional and psychological state of a person. When found in a debilitated condition, they suggest a predisposition to depression and overthinking, often pushing the individual into a spiral of anxiety and hopelessness if not addressed in time. Check out billionaire signs in palm reading by clicking on the I button. Share this video with your family and friends. And don't forget to subscribe, with those notifications on. As always, thanks for watching.